giving everybody all of your stuff while also stepping on them, while also women saying they need all these things and men are saying we can't meet that, you're making men disenfranchised to even do anything.
I agree
because
with that.
every time they try,
if your mama always does it for you, then why do you have to, right? And if women have taken over that secondary role and it supplements the difference, then men now it comes back to purpose.
And it's like the little that they make in this economy is taken from them, though. Like
purpose, Torsia.
No, I know. I already acknowledged it, but I was saying like the only, in my opinion, the only way to get men on board with it is, and it's not the only way, like different cultures do different things, but in this culture, I feel like we need to really put out messaging for men. We really do need to get men in therapy if we're not going to be putting out pro-masculinity type content because women or anybody feels that's dangerous. Well, that's an opinion. If you want men that are healthy versions of themselves, not just for you, for themselves, they have to follow like stoicism. They have to do pro-masculinity stuff, and it's not a message that they want. They want to feminize it. It's one of my biggest pet peeves. If you can tell, I get like triggered by it.
I agree with that. I agree with that. Are you ready for the gentleman?
Yeah, sure. Go ahead.
Do you want to still stay connected? It's totally up to you.
Yeah, it's still early. We're good.
All right, fair enough. We're going to go ahead and go into open panel dumpster fire, ladies and gentlemen. So buckle up. It's about to get whatever.
Yes, and I do want to extend my appreciation. I do think that Sarah has been an adequate moderator. I think that there's times where she needs to mind her own fucking business in this space, but she's been an adequate moderator, and I do appreciate her having me on her channel.
Listen, I love you, the Raging Tomato, but I would kill myself doing more red pill debates, okay?
The Raging Tomato, at least she is attempting, like, she's trying to be a comedian. You know, she's trying to be funny.
All right, the gentlemen are here.
Hello.
They've all come
the Kraken.
Release the Kraken. Oh, I haven't played that for a Mod Monday in a while. I've like gotten so offbeat because all of the different variations we've done for Mod Monday, it's like I forgot about my Kraken video. Oh, somebody else.
I'm just here for the popcorn farts.
I'm here for the popcorn farts too.
Hi, Sarah.
All right.
Hey,
Hi,
it's all right.
Nicole.
I'm just the cure you need.
Can I give my take on it?
Sure,
What's up, friend?
Nicole. Let's start with you since you normally only last like 7
Since
minutes.
you need the most therapy, go ahead.
Actually, I have a psychiatrist, so I've seen a psychiatrist for 10 years.
Based. Me too.
Mostly just to get meds from him, but it's not a therapy issue with these guys. Let me explain. I'm 66. I've seen the whole thing, and I'll tell you why men are deleting themselves at a higher rate than even in the 60s when we were being sent over to Vietnam or the 70s. First of all, it starts with the nuclear family. It starts with these guys being raised by single mothers, half of them. They don't have father figures. Then they go to school and they're being taught by women. So they don't have any really male role models, number one.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? So without a father figure or a teacher or something like that, these young guys who are under 30, under 40, whatever, they are not as purpose driven as guys my age, let's say, were. At 8 years old, I knew I wanted to be a filmmaker. You know what I'm saying? So what happens is, and part of it's feminism too. What happened was we started promoting women. Back in the 70s, it was 60% men in college and 40% women. Now it's reversed. Now here's the situation. We all know that men traditionally share their resources. So a guy like me or any of these guys will date a hot chick we like if she works at McDonald's and makes $15-20 an hour. We don't care. We will date down or equal to us, where you women tend to only date up or on the same level as you. So when you get your master's degrees and your BA degrees and all this stuff, and believe me, I went to USC and UCI, and I've gotten enough college credits to have a PhD if I wanted to, more than most doctorate people. The bottom line is, the last 10, 15 years between the Me Too movement, the Gillette commercials and stuff, it's not just white men that have been shit on, it's all men. And a part of it also is the lack of accountability on women's part. What women do to these guys really is the modern day woman disgusts me. 80% of them disgust me. And it's not even the weight that disgusts me. It's just the fact that the entitlement, the lack of introspection, the delusion on women's parts. You know, you talk to women today who are like 200 pounds and they want a guy who's 6 feet tall, 6 figures, with a 6.5-inch penis like me. And these women are fugly. You know what I'm saying? So basically, you've got guys that, a lot of these guys don't have anything to live for anymore. They don't have a purpose. They don't have a girlfriend. They don't have a wife. And the reason they don't have a purpose is because there's the pool of women out there for these guys to choose from. When you got, look, the average American woman weighs 175 goddamn pounds. 50 years ago, she weighed 125 pounds, okay? So when you've got women walking around, 80% of them that weigh 175 pounds, you know, that means a lot are over 200 pounds. Basically, what man in his right mind who's young, is gonna be motivated to go bust his ass and make 6 figures just to end up with some fat broad? Whereas in the 70s, we were motivated because the women were all thin. I dare anybody to look at a picture from go check out videos from the California beaches from the 70s and 80s. Nobody, in fact, you know what Lane Bryant is? It's that where the store where like the fat girls go. In the 80s, that store almost went out of business. The bottom line is, I don't think these guys need therapy. What they need is, and plus women have invaded all of men's spaces, literally. They've gotten into our country clubs. They've invaded every space that we fucking have. You know, in fact, they don't even want us to congregate as men. And I'll tell you this, there's nothing more dangerous in a society than guys who are not getting laid and guys that don't have money. And that's why we have all these school shootings and shit. And I'll tell you what they really need to do.
With your words, Carrie.
I'll be careful. They need to legalize prostitution, number one.
Okay.
If they
that's enough.
legalize prostitution,
Stop. Locksmith Jerry coming in with the $2. I'm here to smell the popcorn farts. Yes. Thank you, Locksmith Jerry. We appreciate you. Spicoli, mind your freaking words. All right.
There's some things I wanted to address with his little monologue right there. I think beauty standards have changed. I mean, 175 is not outrageous, Spicoli. If we really think about it, men like thicker women nowadays.
175 is not outrageous.
Well, let's be real. I'm being genuine.
Aren't men a lot more overweight also at the same time? So
yeah, this is simultaneous. And Locksmith Jerry coming again with another 2, only 7 inches. Sorry, my guy.
I did hear the dad bod is in now, so I feel like beauty standards as a whole have changed completely, Spicoli. This ain't the 80s anymore. The old man.
I just want to thank Spicoli for showing why
any doctor, anybody will tell you a 5-foot woman, 5'4" woman should not weigh 175 pounds. I'm 5'9", I weigh 145 pounds with a 29-inch waist.
You're a string bean. You're a
175-pound woman. A man should weigh 175 pounds.
We get it. We get it, Carrie. You don't like the weight of women. Okay,
all right, I'll see you guys later.
Bye, Carrie.
Thanks, Sarah. Bye, Tori.
Bye, Carrie.
I think
we can all agree the reason why so many men are in therapy is because of fat chicks. I think he's got a pretty good point there. So.
Yeah, that's like solid.
That's the end of the debate.
Just a second. I need to voice confirm. J.K. Fierte. I don't know what that is. Can you, I don't know, sing me a song or something? JK.
Hey, you guys hear me?
Yeah. Sing me the ABCs, please.
A, B, C, D.
Thank you. All right.
That was beautiful.
That was beautiful. All right.
So what's your thought on fat chicks? Is that what causes men's therapy?
Well, it's gone. We can get it back to now.
I think it might be societal standards on men. gonna just open it up with that. We got a lot of guys out here. I'd love to hear their opinions. Has any other man in here been in therapy? Because I'm starting my therapy journey. I'll say that.
My
went to
opinion is,
therapy once,
ladies,
but
you
I
don't
got
need
better.
therapy. I'm here for you, and I want to go on a speed date with Torsha.
That's my boy right there. That's a dog right there.
I went to therapy once, but it was forced by my mom. So that's the
kind of
problem
where
with society.
Kind of where I'm at. I find I didn't like it. I'm gonna be honest. It just seems like it's paying someone to talk to. When I do have I look at panels almost as my therapy. I'll say that. Like, you get on here, you just yap, get your problems out.
Yeah.
I think
men already had therapy. It's called bars, hanging out with your buddies.
Fair enough. I do say
Isn't that our therapy?
Well,
No.
we've also isolated ourselves from society in a lot of ways. Now we find our friends on the internet. We don't have to leave our house to have social interactions, right? We don't have the physical need of friends anymore because we've got all of our friends online. And
Is there an app where we can drink with our buddies?
There's the
Right
Raging
here.
Patriot in with the $2. Too many creepers and
This is
simps
the
in the chat. Stop it. Thank you, Raging Patriot. We love you.
Can I
Well, I
post a
say-
fun panel?
Hey, if I want my fun, I'm heading out of here.
It's kind of based on what you're saying, because I'm kind of realizing, at least my opinion is, I think a lot of men don't really understand the point of therapy or what the purpose is. But I'm curious from people on panel, what do you think the goal is of going to therapy, particularly for a man? What do you think the point is?
To satisfy a woman.
Maybe. I don't want to.
Legacy.
I think, however, that's
Satisfy a woman?
woman?
don't-
Yeah,
was a
there's
joke,
usually
Adam.
a woman complaining in a man's life, and that's why he ends up in therapy. Not sexually satisfy her,
Right.
just
Like, no.
I
mentally.
feel like men internalize a lot of things. You know, me and Prawn are like decent buds, but I wouldn't go tell him about my mental problems at all. Like, it's just there's a stigma against men sharing their mental health problems. You know, that's a genuine thing.
I think that's a good point.
In other words, no man has ever told another man you need to go to therapy. It's usually a woman that brings it up.
Well, no,
That's a
I'm
great
telling you right now,
What
you
about
probably
the
go to
times
therapy.
that men say it and you're not even asking about it? They'll just drop it all on you. It's like you guys might say that they don't talk to each other about it, but women deal with men like dumping it all on us. And by dumping it, it's like acting irrationally under the influence, like typical shit. You know?
Well, as a woman, that's kind of like, I don't want to say your job, but I know I've had relationships before, and like I like to confide in my girl. You know, I'm
I
not
like
gonna
to fix
confide.
them.
I like to confide in my girl. I don't confide with the boys. We drink beers and we swallow all of our problems until it blows up at home.
Oh, you
So you guys
swallow?
will talk about it. You just don't want to talk
Well, you don't
about it.
spit out beer. That would be a
with
waste.
men.
Yeah, but Dan,
the last Jack coming in with the $2 and then to Princess, not just in the chat. Guy, panel not looking good. I think he's referring to the creepers and simps, and that was probably to Carrie. But yes, to Princess.
see, I think I'm definitely not against talking to your friends and your girlfriend, but I think the whole point of like therapy, I agree, it's probably way too expensive. But the whole point is to have like a third party individual you can talk to that can like take a more objective look. Your friend and your girlfriend, one, they're really close to you, so they probably can't communicate with you in the same way a therapist would. And one, they don't have the knowledge that a therapist would have. They can like maybe see patterns, diagnose you, maybe see mental health issues before they kind of occur that your friends and your partner might not be able to see.
That's a good point. I mean, women, we're very intuitive, right? So we can walk in a room and we can find the creeper, we can find the asshole, we can find the nice person, and we can find your mom without ever even meeting her before. We're very intuitive.
She's not that fat.
Milk Cow coming in with the $1.99 super sticker. Thank you, Milk Cow. But I think women, we're very receptive. We're little sponges. We take all of your emotions in and we give you a safe place to kind of like drop that load. Little do you know, it actually affects us more than like you dump the trauma onto us and you feel relieved. But then now we carry that weight because now we feel the need to like fix you or make it better or snuggle you or something to that degree. And in reality, like you shouldn't be dumping all of that on us. You should have a man to talked to in such a way, or a male role model, or your father or something, or maybe your own mama. Call your own mama. She's there to deal with that much better. But unfortunately, you do pick your women to do that too, and we are very receptive to it.
Yeah, just one thing I wanted to say too. I think sometimes, or many times, why men go to therapy is because we're just told that's what we're supposed to do. And I mean, I've been to a few different therapists for different reasons, and I've always just walked away from it feeling like it was just a waste of money between my copay and then also what the insurance was paying. So it's pretty much the therapist was getting $300 an hour to tell me everything I already knew. And I think a lot of times too, just the quality of the talk therapy was just pointless.
Yeah.
I wonder how many men are in therapy right now for being toxic masculine. In other words, being a man. You know, maybe that's part of the problem.
Men do need an outlet, though. I'll say a therapist might not be the best way, but men do need an outlet. We can't be internalizing every single problem and then dumping it on a significant other. You know?
It comes out in other ways too, like you lashing out at a boss. Like it doesn't have to be just
drug abuse and
dumping.
self-deletion. That's what's common in men. Drug abuse and self-deletion. That's where it comes out.
Alcohol abuse too.
I worry that men don't know how to recognize when they're dealing with something. Like it's almost like they've pushed it down for so long since like a young age that they wouldn't even recognize if they had to go to a doctor until maybe they were like gonna delete. And
so
even
who do they need to depend on to tell them that, or who should they turn to tell them that?
I would say a coach first, like some sort of mentor, see, you could, like a life coach. It doesn't necessarily.
That's a privilege idea, though. Men don't have access to that on a regular basis.
Yeah, like men that right.
And women have a monopoly on public perception. You know, it's almost like men have to filter what they do through the idea that they have to please women on the optics level.
And it contradicts itself depending on the woman, I've noticed. Yeah.
And we have to ask, like, are we asking men to be like appealing or appeasing to these like warm and fuzzy ideas, or do we want men to be competent? Because the two aren't mutually exclusive.
Yeah.
I don't think that's what's happening in therapy though, where it's like, oh, they're trying to be the warm and fuzzy. I think it's kind of a character of what their therapy is.
It depends. Like if you want somebody that's going to cheer you on for making a decision, I think that's the stereotypical therapy, but then there's other types of therapy that like help you navigate decisions. So if you're ever in a moment where you're just like, I don't know how I'm supposed to do this and also tackle this, they'll give you like the non-toxic version of your conscious. Well, should I do this, or this? But you'll notice that you talk to yourself, at least for me, you talk to yourself really negatively, which makes it difficult to find the appropriate decision, I guess. But that's just me. So I don't know if that's every time.
And also, I think it would be beneficial to take into account that when we're, especially in our personal relationships, one-on-one situations, we have to remember what role we play in each other's lives, because the advice that would be brilliant from like an older father figure may not come across the same way if you're getting it from your younger girlfriend. You know, and she could tell you the same things that he would be telling you, and they could be hitting you right in the face, and you won't see them. We all do still have to operate with an ego and pride and all this stuff.
Yeah, when you get triggered, you almost know that it's the ego. Now reverse it, flip it, and that's why you did it. I learned that in therapy, though.
I put my thing down, flip it, and reverse it. Is it worth it? Worth it?
Yeah, like if I started screaming at blind right now, something that you're doing reminds me of myself. Technically, is like what you learn.
Ooh, that's a good one.
Oh my God! Hold on.
Something I hate about it.
Not all heroes wear capes, ladies and gentlemen, but puppies certainly make us happy. And somebody who's sprung up from nowhere, we haven't seen him in forever. Ryan, the Radical Coder.
It has been a minute. How do I sound?
It's been
Sound good.
months
Sound
of
good.
minutes.
Nice
Yeah,
wrap.
definitely.
Yeah.
I want to see
Hey,
the dog.
yes, I saw the picture on Facebook.
This is so cute. This is Umbreon, everyone. Welcome to the debate.
Umbreon, that's a Pokemon reference?
Oh yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
You're coming in very masculine. You got the CEO masculinity. You've got the power rack behind you.
Yeah, and I'm here to tell men it's okay to go to therapy. Although, full disclosure, I myself am not in therapy. Although there have definitely been points over the last few years of my life that probably would have benefited me greatly. And I have a lot of close personal friends who have gone through therapy and
What
come
are
out
we
the other
doing?
side, like much better, more well-rounded people who I have a lot more respect for. Not that I didn't respect them before, but like they've become they've solved a lot of problems in their life by like going through this process, and I think that's something that like really speaks to it. I'm sure that like if you talk to people in your life who have gone to therapy, they'll probably tell you some more things. Like someone said earlier, like you used to go like they treat panels like therapy, or you know therapy. You're just there to talk about your problems, and that's part of it. Absolutely, from my understanding, is that that's a big part. But then the next thing is that they're also like it's a qualified professional that can give you strategies to approach those problems, and that's what you really want to do, right? Like that's
a
the main
good
goal, so you
point.
can solve your problems. And then people were talking about like doing it just to please women or whatever. Like it's like I think Sarah was trying to convey like the goal is not just to like we're not trying to just entertain.
Are you guys
their
hearing
whims.
something that I can't hear or something?
What?
I hear him.
Sorry, real quick.
I think it's just you.
We're not just trying to entertain the whims of
Yeah,
women
we
or
can
whatever.
hear.
Yeah, we're trying
Like,
to break
the idea,
men of the external validation from women for sure. I think therapy
Yeah,
can do that.
and to like frankly to make men more tolerable to women in a lot of ways, because like Sarah said, like every woman if you ask any woman you know, she will tell you that guys are, and I'm guilty of this as well, like guys trauma dump on them. I trauma dump on women in my life as well, and I try to spread it out, and I do it to men as like, you know, like I
try to
talk to your male friends, guys, like it's okay.
Spread it out is big.
Spread it out.
Do it. We're
Talk to all
social.
your friends about problems. It's okay.
That's why we're on panels. We're getting it out.
Shut up.
No,
We're
that's what
getting it
I'm saying.
out.
That's what I'm saying.
Snaps.
If
Well, I
you
wanted-
guys only knew what the like after the live stream ends and then you're on here in the back chat, you know, talking to somebody and it happens to be a male, like you'll get the entire freaking life story, and it's no shame on them. It is what it is. Like they find an opportunity, they're gonna utilize it, but
I just don't know what to do with it. I'm not a healthy person to carry that for you.
I'll let me go
you
to
know?
therapy.
I'm worse.
Yeah, the last thing you want to do is trauma dump on a girl. That's the worst thing you could
well,
do.
I think if you find the right girl, right?
Yeah, if
the
she's your
right one
therapist.
well, at least okay. Listen,
I don't think so.
I'm gonna give you all. I'm gonna give every man a little hint here. If you find a female that happens to be a mom, she will handle with care. She will recognize what you're doing. All right. She's going to mom you. She's going to give you kind, gentle advice. She's going to let you talk and talk and talk and talk all night long, literally all night long. And she won't even be judgmental because she accepts you the way she would accept her child. Right. So I think if you're going to do it, this is where all the single moms suddenly become the best thing on earth. Right.
Single moms are killing it. Everybody knows this. I feel like online people act like that's the horrible thing, but
oh, we're the worst.
Everybody, like if you're a bartender, you realize that single moms are winning this dating thing. 100%.
Oh yeah, they definitely are. And Milk Cow coming in with the $4.99. Great panel tonight. Shout out to Prawn and Dan.
Thank you.
Everyone say hello to Milk Cow. Thank you, Milk Cow. Yeah.
So Ryan, I have a question. Did you notice changed behavior in friends of yours that like pre-therapy, post-therapy? What changed?
I don't want to like talk too much about one specific person's experience, but like I know a specific person who had a lot of anger, right? A lot of anger issues that I witnessed at times. And I saw after he went through therapy, like we had conversations years later. Like I didn't see him for a long time, and then I saw him after he'd been through a lot of therapy. And like the way he was talking about things that we all went through, like me and my friends and him, like collectively, his reflection on them, like there was clear signs of growth, and in ways that were
accountable
like
and stuff.
Absolutely. Like accountability and reframing things in like productive ways. And it was, I don't know, it was a really nice, like it was a really great conversation. I was really proud of him. Like honestly, that's how I felt. I felt like super proud. I was like, that's awesome, man. Like hell yeah, dude. Yeah.
Yay.
Can I jump on that one? I want to one point before you have the other panels. Because I think a lot of people here, even people that are not into therapy, probably would say like the men should do self-improvement. I think what therapy can do is like give you the right pathway to go down. Like without it, you can kind of be walking aimlessly. Whereas if you talk to a therapist, you might realize like, oh, this thing happened in my childhood impacted me to operate this way. Now I know how I can kind of operate and what path to kind of go down. I just want to add that.
Floor's open, Jen.
What's up, new panelists?
How's
it going? Hola.
Oh, go ahead. Go ahead.
I'm just saying. I have nothing to say, but I'm all for self-improvement as a guy. You know, when I think about life, I always improve the amount of women I break up with. That's just a great standard to have. I love it, and I'm sorry for all these women that I broke up with.
Yeah,
you know,
Bad Gemini, you better be sorry with nothing to say with that freaking Stanley Cup you're drinking out of, boy.
That's
First
a manly.
off, the fact
That's a
that
manly.
you had an aggressive boy. I would say Sarah didn't bring me up to deal with this vitriol right here. So the fact that you would say that and think you look cool, you and your mediocre representation of a man with your standard cap, and you talking about me a Stanley Cup. You wear khakis that have at least 7 pleats in them. You have on these earbuds right now, like the original ones. You're drinking, it just says beer on your can. I don't even know if it's official. And then what you have on as a freaking, you know, I'm finna bypass him. Let me talk to somebody else who's more respectful. I want to say hello to the women on this panel, not ladies, but these beautiful women. Sarah, you know, look, Torsia,
I didn't do
how
it.
y'all doing?
I didn't do it.
I'm
I'm
here
hiding.
for y'all.
Yes, you did.
I'm gonna respect y'all. Y'all are.
I can try to get
puzzled,
perplexed.
Look, I'm not going to listen to you guys right now because the energy y'all have is not indicative of beautiful women being on the panel. You should not be focused on me. Right now, your ball sack is being shipped in the Amazon package. It's not even been safeguarded.
Man.
So it's been stepped on and crushed right now.
Your barber pushed that line back. Your barber pushed that line back, Gemini. Let's talk about it. That man, he pushed your shit back.
Well, you're talking about being respectful,
off,
but
this forehead is my birthright. There's nothing I can do about it.
That's 5 at this point, buddy.
If you add $15, you get free shipping.
That means I'm 5 steps ahead of you based on my forehead. That's now 5 head.
This is rank.
First off,
I'll try to get us back on track with the question. I think this pointed at Portia and Ryan, but I want to hear everyone's answer. Why do you think people are, particularly men, why do you think they're so opposed to therapy? Like I almost like feel like almost triggering where they're like, a lot of people just like are super opposed to it on like on a internal level, and I can't really tell why.
I think
opposed to
men
therapy?
are not taught. Men are not taught like to. I don't know. I feel like as a girl, you're taught like if there's something wrong, go to a doctor. I feel like boys are not taught the same thing, and so I've been in a space where I pushed emotions down in like adulthood, and I didn't go to the doctor, I didn't go to the dentist. So I can only imagine how men are kind of in that area, just longer. I don't know if that made sense.
Well,
It sounded like
the boys are
projecting
taught
right there.
to. The boys, I think, are taught to like rub some dirt on it. You'll be all right. You know, get up.
Like you said,
brush
take
yourself
yourself
off.
up by the bootstraps.
Yeah. And see but see that's kind of where I sit too, where but I still have the common denominator of saying like, oh, something hurts, I'm gonna go to the doctor because I want it fixed. But I also think that women or as young girls are taught to be compliant to the concept, right? So we become compliant to the idea of, oh, hey, you know, if somebody says jump, you jump, and you ask how high or whatever the case may be, but also in the degree to the concept, right? Compliant to the concept. If something hurts, you tell somebody and get it fixed. Like that's like we're taught to tell somebody to get something fixed, whether it's I hurt myself or I need a pickle jar open. Like you tell somebody to get it fixed. We become submissive naturally by compliance. whereas men are taught to defy and to like strive to be above. So I think that can vary in that concept. Like, I don't need a doctor; I'll fix myself. It'll be all right. So I think that that's where that variation might come in.
We don't understand how
there's a
broken
couple
things are, though.
points.
Go ahead. I'm listening to you. If I was going to say, as a guy, we just don't understand the levels of how broken something can be.
I
So,
was just thinking that, like, that was a
Yeah.
good point. Like, we've never, especially our generation of millennials, we had this sort of idea of what normal was, but so many people vary on it, like mental illness wise, like what's a healthy dose of communication? How do you know if you didn't have, like, your parents didn't necessarily have to like beat you up and like do drugs for you to have a bad childhood on accident. You know, parents do their best, but you can be carrying stuff even if you think you had a decent childhood. It's like shit happens. So
I
it's
gotta
like,
give a little pushback on it. I think people do recognize when they're in the wrong. Like if they're battling a drug addiction, you know that you're not supposed to be doing these things, but it's internalizing the problem. Like I said, that's one of the biggest things. It's hard to break the cycle. It's hard to find self-worth sometimes. You know, you feel like, oh, life's not going to be better if I change, so you just don't.
Yeah.
Things of that nature.
yeah, I feel like if you're in an addiction specifically, you need somebody on the outset to pull you out of it. I don't.
Even depression.
Yeah,
Just
that
it's
too.
hard to change your thinking sometimes. You know.
That's tricky.
That still
You could say,
falls, but that
Go
still
ahead.
falls under like that mental handicap, right? The variation of people that we determined already were under the acceptable yes.
Yeah,
right.
but
We're
mental, we shouldn't like disregard it though.
No, I don't
Yeah, I see.
disregard it. But what I'm saying is, we all already agreed that people in that circumstance would, like, we would have agreed, yes, they should seek therapy. You know,
But-
so it wouldn't be necessary. And let me hit the super chat real quick. Rude Mud Crab comes with the $5, and I think this is a great point. Women mature faster, but men are expected to be independent faster. We won't see men if we don't raise men.
True.
And so I think that men kind of get left behind in a sense, like they're expected to be independent, but they're mature wise, they're not there to be. And women, we're told like, you will nurture, you will do this, you will be, figure this out, you will do these things, you'll be resourceful, XYZ, because it's kind of a natural instinct, a survival skill, for instance, to be resourceful and figure it out and find somebody who knows how to fix something or whatever the case may be. Whereas men, they can only depend on themselves, and so it's like as if they're not mature enough to recognize I need to be resourceful, well, then they're kind of just stuck in this spot where they're left alone.
Look, I see it as the flip side. Hold on, Sarah. I'm going to give you pushback. I see it on the flip side because typically men are by themselves. So I typically see men as being resourceful because we have to depend on ourselves and figure it out by ourselves. And I think with women, they have resources because other people are willing to pour into them. And so a guy's going to be like, you know what? I'm going to figure it out on my own, use my own internal strength, whatever it is, to be resourceful because I don't have help. Because sometimes we get knuckleheaded, stingy, and we dismiss every level of help we could. So now in that instance, I have to be resourceful because I've rejected every level of help. Where a woman, even if she wants to be resourceful, I'm not saying that they aren't, but then men or even other women will still volunteer services and resources to help them through those situations. So I think typically men have to be more resourceful because we're out here trying to figure it out on our own, where it's still the whole damsel in distress and so on and so forth with people who want to pour into women compared to men.
Well, can I say real quick, like to that point, I agree with everything you said about what men are tend towards, right, and what they're like, what they do in that regard. But I think what like Sarah was kind of outlining, that like in a lot of ways, like women are being more successfully resourceful by finding other like human resources that can assist them with their problems. They can depend on other people easier. Like what you're describing is antisocial behavior. Like we don't want men to be these like hyper isolated, antisocial, like I need to depend on just me. Like you want to depend on other people because we're social creatures and we live in a society. I hear like these are super important things, and I think that's kind of like speaks to her point really more than anything.
I think what he was saying though is like, if you look at a homeless population and there's a woman asking for money and then you have a man who's looking for money, people's automatic assumption is, oh no, the woman, maybe she has a kid. But for men, it's not really the same. They're almost like people are scared of them. So I guess it's, I feel like just in general, the way that we look at women versus men has to change because there's more men that are homeless, you know? Sorry.
Sure.
Think I
Well, can I say, I mean, I agree with what you're saying too, but I think what you're describing are obstacles in the way of men getting those resources. Like you're like very aptly describing those things, but like, yeah, again, it's just, it speaks to the problem. Yeah.
And just a heads up to the panel, I do have 2 other people sitting backstage. So if anybody's just plans to panel squat this evening and not necessarily.
I'll say I actually just wanted to pop in for a few minutes, but I love you, Sarah. Nice meeting you, Torcia. Everyone else is good to see meet you.
Did you see what Mama Tomato said? She said, "Oh my God, I was just thinking about him."
Oh, that is so sweet.
She
good to see
conjured
Mama
you.
Tomato. Love for everyone. Yeah, be safe, guys. I'm glad you got to meet Umbreon. This was his first appearance on a stream, so he was pretty nervous. He had to go curl up on a towel.
Stop staying away for so long. We miss you. We love you. You're so much value comes from you, Ryan.
It's good to see you, Radical Coder. You put on some weight. You're looking good.
You look great.
It's sad to see you leave, man.
Yeah, no, I'll come
great,
back.
Ryan.
Yeah. I mean, this is my permanent residence now. I don't live in an Airbnb right now, so that's last time we spoke. I was in Seattle in an Airbnb.
Oh,
but
that's
I have a house
right.
now,
That's right. That's
Good
awesome.
shit.
Well, I'm glad you're
Self-improvement,
doing
bro.
well, and we look forward to another appearance from you. It's cherished.
Peace out.
Bye, Ryan.
Gemini, he mogged you, bro. He mogged the shit out of you.
All right, and let me just do another voice confirm. Locksmith, is that you? Can you sing me Twinkle Twinkle Little Star?
Look, no, but I can say hi to her.
That'll work. It's just a test. It's just a test.
Yeah,
Make
what up,
sure you're
Gemini?
not-
Hi, everybody.
Hello to you.
What's up? What's up? Dan, you talking reckless. He actually provided a tie-in to push the conversation forward. All this mog stuff, this young jitterbug stuff y'all be on. I appreciate it because that's the nuance of conversation. And then Torcia had a valid point as well. So it all just came in overlap. So I appreciated that. That's all I got for you. And I'm not pandering tonight because Sarah, she's cute sometimes, but until she puts on lip gloss, it doesn't matter to me. Her lips are dry, and so is her attitude. And then when it comes to Torcia, she's feisty as her hair color, which means I have to avoid her at all costs.
Hey, weren't you just simping for these ladies like 2 minutes ago?
Apparently
he says
not.
he doesn't pander, but then panders every time. I've seen this like 7
Oh, I
times.
know. We know him by now. Hey,
He
so quick
he
shout
likes
out
to put everybody in their place. We know it.
I got a couple of items for feedback here. So I think the main reason was kind of covered earlier about the idea of societies that most men shouldn't need therapy. That's kind of already a sign of a weakness in their character, traditionally speaking. And so maybe modern people think that, men should be more in touch with their feminine side and cry about their feelings or whatever and all that jazz. I'm personally more concerned about the quality of therapy these men are getting. And I think the guy who just left made a very good point that he said that after therapy, the men were trained to be more tolerable to women. And I think he put it perfectly. That's the quality of therapy you're going to get when you put man into therapy. So I think a better therapy for men would be first to let, life teach them how to be a man, the rite of passage that man has gone through since the beginning of time. And we did okay up until about, 20 or 30 years ago. And in spite of that, even if you have to force him into therapy, hopefully it's at least a man who knows what he's talking about to set a proper role model to this lost, misguided man, and not, the stuff that we're continually perpetuating anyway. So that would be my 2 cents.
Hey, man, I think you
And
brought up
shout
a
out,
good
let me
point.
interrupt just for a moment and then you can go on. Radical Coder sending the 5 memberships out. Congratulations to Safe and Sound, Squids, Sam, Chaos Queen, and Lord of Pies. Shout out to all of you for winning the lucky lottery. We love you. Go ahead, whoever was going.
Yeah, so what I was saying, I think he brought up a good point. There was a rite of passage that, boys had to go through, 20, 30 years ago. I'd say even, further than that. But I think fundamentally, a boy's father is his best therapist. Starting at a young age, because the father, typically he's already gone through all the bullshit, all the hard times, and he's the best source to teach his son how to get through those things. Now, things have changed drastically. That also involves a dad who's involved, a dad who's there, a dad who's present, a dad who isn't only spending 50% of the time with his kid, or is going through a divorce, and he's completely checked out. A lot of that shit is
Maybe they
happening
should
right now.
default dad takes the kids in the first 5 years of life. Huh?
I don't think it's the first 5. The first 5.
Fuck no.
Well, no. What I'm
have a
saying is the
motherly
first.
nature.
Well, actually, I would say like the first 7 to 8 are very vital for the son and daughter both to develop that bond with mom, right? And then after that, that's when the dad really takes a toll, because they're already foundationally built in, right? Essentially the mother is teaching the same values as dad, right? And they both have paired up on that. And so mom is doing the nurturing, the coddling, the love, the care, right? But it's once you kind of hit 7 or 8, you don't need to be coddled as much.
Yeah,
you shouldn't be coddled as much, right? That's where the discipline. Hold on, just a second. And I think that's where the dad really starts to step in once they're already like brought to like, okay, now you can tie your own shoes, you can get your own book bag, you can grab your own snacks and all of those things. Now that the independence has developed, now dad comes in and teaches how to utilize that independence and put it to the best case scenario.
Yeah, I like that.
I don't disagree. Should we start educating men on how to maybe be a therapist in some way? Because I don't know if all men are necessarily equipped to give that to the son, even though that's probably what the son or the children might need.
Say that again?
Do we need to start educating men to be able to do something like that? Because I imagine not all men can do that initially. Some might have to be taught that skill.
No, men just need to take on the responsibility when they decide to bring a child into this world, for starters. They need a man to fuck up, excuse my language, but fuck it.
Well, we're not talking about having responsibility of having a kid. We're talking about now being a therapist to your child, which I'm not saying I'm against.
I went to the male therapist.
It might require some additional education. You might have to read a book or two if you want to do that pretty well as a father.
Finish.
I went to a male therapist and it was a waste of time, so I would vote no on that one.
It's trash.
I don't know about men being
There's
a
nothing to do with
therapist,
what I'm saying.
but men need to be communicative. Like they need to learn how to voice their opinions and their words and their feelings more. Most definitely, I feel like a lot of men don't even know how to talk about what they're feeling inside.
I feel like going to see a therapist is like going to see
one at a time. One at a time.
Sounded kind of fruity, but like I was saying, be more communicative, learn how to voice your opinions and be able to like speak what you're feeling inside versus just getting all riled up and angry,
I guess I'm trying to think about the underlying issue. It seems like men in society seem to be having more mental health issues than men. If you look at the self-deletions, the number just tend to be higher. So I'm trying to address that issue. And while I think it would be great if fathers were better therapists to their children, I don't know how that really addresses the immediate issue at hand.
I think a lot of
vinyl. I see you looking like you want to say something. You want to maybe push back a little bit?
Oh, someone just said something super funny in the chat, but
never mind, my bad.
I actually, since I am speaking here, I want to give a quick shout out to the porcelain god of the BC, Depeche Commode. What's up, my dude?
There it
We're
is.
having a lot more fun here than Record Store Day talk, right? Or not?
I'm sick of Record Store Day talk.
I know. I mean,
sick of it.
Never want to hear about it
Sarah,
ever again.
I have to go.
Oh, all right. Torsten, great having you here.
Are you
feel like I talked to you.
Hold on just a second. Are you disconnecting or you got to go?
I'm going to disconnect.
Okay,
Yeah.
I can do that on my end.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thanks for having me.
Are you leaving us completely?
Yes.
Okay. Let's do this. All right. If anybody cares to or wants to of any sort, continue on. I'm dropping the link in the chat. It's going to show up on both ends, but whatever. So anybody that's watching on Torsh's end, if you want to continue, the link has been dropped. I'm going to disconnect her end now.
Love you.
Love the
I
Torsha.
love you too. I love you too, Torsha.
You.
Bye, guys. Have a
Any
good rest of
final
your
thoughts
evening.
to the world, Torsha?
You know, I think men, when it comes to self-improvement, you know what's best for yourself. So, you know, take what you can and put it to work, you know?
Before you go, can I ask a question?
Yeah, go ahead.
Do you think Christians should give women's rights or promote them?
No. No.
Okay, I was just curious what your since you didn't
Yeah,
talk
no.
in that debate.
Yeah, I know.
Thanks for sharing.
All right. Thanks, guys. Have a good one.
I'll debate you on that if you want to.
I think like one thing that I wanted to say about crappy therapy, and I believe that there's a lot of crappy therapists out there, and a lot of it has to do with the way that the system is set up, is when we look for a therapist, we usually just look for someone who's covered by our insurance and is close enough to our work so we can go on our lunch break. And you know, you can't really, it's not set up so you can really find someone who fits with your personality and can really understand what it is, because it's not really just about always just about relationship issues. I had something more PTSD related, and I had an awful therapy experience because the therapist was pretty much just didn't have any interest in anything that I had to say, and his solution was just to not think about it.
Are you a vet? Are you a vet?
No, this was I witnessed a kid get run over by a truck a long time ago.
Sorry to hear that, bro.
Yeah, sorry to hear that as well.
It was a car accident, and so I went to a therapist for that, and his solution seriously was just to not think. Don't think about it.
That's like saying don't think about the color red, and what are you gonna do? You're gonna think about the color red.
Exactly.
Did you maybe try a different therapist to see like if it was just that one, or did you kind of ditch the idea as a whole after that one bad experience?
After that experience, I just said fuck it, you know.
Yeah. And I mean, how did you? I feel like men need their own. It doesn't have to be therapy, but how did you then self therapy? What did you do to then get over just problems in general?
It took a while because I was scared to drive.
Yeah.
Especially if there was, it was a tractor trailer, so it was like a car fishtailed on the highway. Kid was thrown out of the window, but then I saw him get run over by a tractor trailer. And so you know, there are things like the sound of that, and then the visual that wake me up a couple times, you know, in the middle of the night. And then driving was difficult for a while too, but those are the type of things where you can't really talk your way out of it.
Yeah.
Are you suffering physically from it still?
No, this was a long time ago. I do stand-up comedy, and I talk about it on stage now. So I'm over that whole trauma.
Would you consider that as maybe your therapy, your form of therapy is like, you know, humorize it almost, and that's how you got through it? I know a lot of people got through the worst situations with like finding the humor in the terrible situation itself.
I tried talking about it as more of like a spoken word a long time ago, and it wasn't really, you can't make humor of it because still then I come off as being insensitive.
Yeah.
But I've learned now to make it funny by talking about that experience of trying to talk about it back then. Yeah, I mean, things like that, it's kind of just needs to work itself out, really.
Well, they say time is the best like healer. They do say that. I mean, took me a while to get over my ex, fellas. I miss her to this day. Look at King. King hates that shit.
How long were y'all together?
3 years. 3 years.
Yeah. But, how long ago was it?
Like a year ago. I'm not honestly too. It doesn't take me down too hard. I'll say that.
I think for most things, time can heal things, but also at the same time, like you can also like kind of leave like scars that last forever.
Locksmith, that was my first love. Locksmith, what do you want me to do about it? That was my first love.
I'm asking, bro. You young, I see that.
How you feel it? King, you are muted right now, King. I'd love to get your opinion on therapy. Do you think men should go through it? Maybe just what's your opinion?
You're still muted, King.
You're muted,
You're
King.
muted, dude.
King, you're muted.
Okay, I'm just gonna talk over him.
Is this man dropping sign language to make his point? I'm trying to understand what's going on with
I
King.
can't even unmute him on my end. Like that's
on
definitely
his end.
I'm going to go ahead and head out, and I'll share one
Okay.
more thought about the comment Dan just made about whether or not it was just like one bad therapist and maybe he should have tried another one. I think in the big picture, we can still look at history and see that after thousands of years without therapy, men did pretty good. And now we have decades of men in therapy. And would you say men are getting better or not? And so that would be my parting thoughts on whether or not the big picture is getting better or not. So that's
a good question. I mean, I'm gonna answer it and say I feel like men are at a decline. I'm gonna just say that. Why? I don't know. Go on, pro.
I blame feminism.
I was
all the
saying,
feminist fault.
I think more so we've seen decades of men not going to therapy. There's like stats say like literally 40% of men with mental illness do not receive mental health care. So even the ones that are diagnosed are not getting health care. So I doubt the ones that are undiagnosed are the ones that had
I
nothing.
feel like
going on.
society, we've gotten a lot softer because, you know, my grandfathers, they went to Vietnam and they've probably seen some stuff that they just internalized and never really let it bother them, you know? And nowadays guys stub their toe almost and it seems like, oh, this is life-changing news.
Yeah, I think Sarah differentiated like actual mental illness and like, you know, the general vibe of just like men's feelings being hurt kind of therapy. Yeah. Those are two different discussions. So I agree with her on that one. Like people who have like, you know, schizophrenia and shit like that definitely need therapy. But I think she was talking about more of like the modern use of the phrase therapy. Like when men feel like, you know,
I'm saying
if
the people that have those are not going to therapy, do you think men that don't have that are going to therapy? They're not. So I'm saying
what she's saying is
not going to therapy. For decades of men going to therapy, men are not going into therapy.
I think what she was saying, and I agree with her, is that I think we all agree that people who have actual mental illness, you know, like schizophrenia or whatever, should definitely be in therapy, period. Like, I don't think there's really any debate there. I think her topic was more about the modern sense of, you know, basically most men in therapy these days being too toxically masculine and not, you know, sensitive enough to women's feelings and stuff. Kind of like that last guy phrased it. And so that was more my feedback was like, I don't think that's helping society at all in generally speaking, but
yeah, and,
maybe I'm wrong.
To add to that, you know, back in the 70s and 80s, you know, from when I can remember, I mean, guys had clear roles. They had, you know, clear duties of, you know, what they should do, who they are, what was right, what was wrong, who was the head of the family. Now, I mean, it's just everything's just so fucking androgynous, you know. It's just like, okay, men and women are equal. Men and women, you know, are interchangeable widgets. Men need to be more sensitive. Boys need to act more like girls and sit still. You know, it's like, it's really, you know, big. You know, I don't want to say. I mean, yeah, it's an attack on, you know, the patriarchy. I mean, that's clear. But when you take that hierarchy away, yeah, guys are going to, you know, go to therapy because they have no idea of who they're supposed to be. They're suffering spiritually because I know there's something inside them that's telling them, no, this isn't right. You shouldn't be fucking coddled like this. You shouldn't be treated, you know, like you're, you know, a defective girl. This is why you're suffering, because society's telling you there's something wrong with you.
But
there's nothing wrong, you know, with
I gotta kind of agree. I gotta kind of agree with what he's saying.
How are you gonna actually address that though? Are you gonna take all the women out of the workforce because men are like, they don't feel adequate, that they're not the main provider in the household?
That'd be a good start.
I'm not.
That's never gonna change. So what men should do is they should go to
it was that way before.
Because I do let me finish. I do agree with you that like the changing of gender roles or like the changing of how masculinity is defining is definitely causing men stress in the society. But I don't think that's gonna change. We're not gonna go back to our traditional structures. So I think men should have therapy, deal with that.
To
Says
follow
you.
up with that,
It's
to
not gonna
follow up
change.
with that, I think women figured out the game and got really good at it. And now men don't like that we're doing so well. And now it makes them feel inadequate to some degree, right? To some
don't-
degree. I think
And they play it so
because
good.
here's the big complaints, right? I want you to think about the biggest complaints that you've heard from men, especially around this space. They're better at dating, right? They can get every man that they want. They have all the options they want. They're making more money. They can get any job they want. They can do this. They can do that. And then they can divorce the man and take the kids and take the house and take the dog and take the truck and take the this and take that, right? Like we figured out the game and we got better at it. And now men are like, wait a minute. Like it was so much easier when you didn't know how to play the game. Because then you could just be the pawn, right? Like you just do what I tell you to do. You could just be what I tell you to be. Like I was supposed to be playing the game, and now that's like if a boyfriend and girlfriend start playing Mario Kart, and she gets really, really good at it, and then he gets pissed that he's kicking his ass in Mario Kart, and he's like, "What the fuck? You're not supposed to know how to do this."
Yeah,
you know.
that's the same analogy. And I just got to jump in one to make sure my mic works. And at the same time, just to jump in with the last thing you said about how women may feel that way, and the dude will look at the woman and be like, "Damn, you ain't supposed to learn how to do that." I don't even want to bring this up. I'm just bringing it up so it's a context that there's also multiple ways that you can look at it too, as being a black dude is that's the same way. That same energy is the same thing with being the way I look living here. Like I'm not supposed to have any of the shit I have. I'm not supposed to talk the way I talk. By me being able to do this, not a lot of people, one in my little town, want to do shit like this, and it like fucks with their like Django said, they've never seen a motherfucker with a horse. Just like when a dude's looking at a woman like they ain't supposed to be able to do this and that. It does send some people the wrong way, but I'm assuming it's the people that don't, just the controlling type of person. Because I have no problem with a woman that can get her own shit or do her own shit, and I damn near feel like I can compete on the same level as bitch getting whatever the fuck she gets. And the only reason I had to say it like that is because that's the energy that you guys were forcing me to say. My football team lost today.
Oh, here he comes.
Stop
Milk
it,
Cow
stop
comes in with the 5. Who's everybody on the panel voting for? There was a error correction. Who's everybody voting for? We can start at
Ron
the top.
Paul.
This is legitimate. Let me get
Top
mine out
left.
the way.
I mean, I'm not gonna vote probably if I were to Trump. I'm gonna say that. I just don't know a lot about Kamala, and everything I hear is bad. But I'm not too political.
That's fair.
I'm gonna
Depeche.
pass it on.
Why?
Okay. Fair enough.
Similar answer.
King,
What was that?
who are you voting for?
I could have sworn we've already talked about this. Move along.
All right. I-Fi, who are you voting for?
Ron Paul.
All right. Locksmith, who are you voting for?
Grab him by the pussy, Trump.
All right. Melanie, you're here now. Who are you voting for?
I'm Canadian, so Justin Trudeau.
Oh, that's fair. And JK, who are you voting for?
I'll be voting for Trump.
All right. And Pumping Vinyl, who are you voting for?
Yeah, I don't know. I've given it a little bit of thought, but I think I'm gonna.
Fair enough.
I won't say
And Prawn
Look at
says,
Aaron.
I'll be
Prawn
voting
says-
for Vice President Harris.
All right. And Bad Gemini, who are you voting for?
It's going to be a write-in, and his name is Bad Gemini.
And Aaron, who are you voting for?
The good old fashioned nobody's fucking business. Excuse my language.
Thank you. That's perfect. I actually expected, here's what I believe about voting and politics. I think that it's actually meant to be very private, very personal, and you shouldn't be making it a public thing. Actually,
You just
if you-
asked us.
Huh?
You just asked us all though.
I know, but the
But
correct
she accepted the answer of nobody. You know.
Yeah, the correct answer would be it's my business and not yours. I think that that's where you should stand. I don't tell people who like that's why do you think the ballots are private? Why do you think you have the little cubicle and all of the things around you? Because it's meant to be private, even if you feel a certain way and so on and so forth. Yeah, we're going for a while, Primal. You feel free to hop on later. I think that we need to recognize all of this advertising, all of this influence and blah, 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 blah. It doesn't fucking matter because when you get to that little cubicle, you can vote whichever way you want. There's no peer pressure. There's no nothing. Nobody's going to fucking know.
Yeah.
So then by that
and
logic,
if you vote uniparty, it doesn't matter. So
by that logic,
don't
my
worry
mean
about
answer-
wasting your time.
By that
I
logic,
actually
my
need
mean
therapy
answer
because
was
of
correct,
voting.
because I wasn't taking that question very seriously to begin with.
And that's fair.
So back to your topic, Sarah. You're right.
Oh,
Women
y'all
got
took it
better. They learned to
serious.
play the game,
got smoked.
and they got so good at it.
Move along.
Now they bring home the bacon. Congratulations, you played
I was
yourself.
the first. I felt pressured to actually take the question seriously. My bad.
Wouldn't you
hell.
say that part of the issue right now is
I'm
that
head out.
we are also grappling with the
iPod?
fact that we have to equalize, that we
See ya,
have to
iPod.
accept other people working? Hey, have a good night, man.
Yeah,
I mean,
I
that would
think
be my question.
I think it's
Isn't
part
it a
of
thing where